It's time for Wretched Radio with Todd Friel.
If your annoyance meter is in the red, you might not want to listen to this because it's just going to go right off the chart. This is Wretched Radio, a subject that is almost certain to annoy, well, pretty much everyone. The faith of Donald Trump. There, I just went ahead and said it. We are going to talk about the faith of Donald Trump, but only as a springboard into a much larger conversation that I do believe has very practical implications. You and I, on a regular basis as Christians, are confronted by people who claim to be a believer. How quick should we be to make a pronouncement? Yes, they are. No, they are not. I would like to suggest to you the answer is depends. Depends on what? That is what we are going to explore. When do we confidently claim that person's a believer? Or when do we keep our powder dry? Or when can we make a definitive proclamation? No, he or she is not. And we're going to use Donald Trump as our example, because I think he provides us with all the details we need to work through this situation so that we do not end up in one of the two ditches that I think most evangelicals fall into when it comes to the proclamation of a celebrity or high-profile politician that says, I'm a Christian. I think the big ditch that most evangelicals fall into these days is this one. Justin Bieber said he's a Christian. He's one of us. He preached a sermon. I knew it. I always knew it about the Beepster. I think that's probably the bigger ditch. In evangelicalism, somebody, a celebrity, being interviewed for MSNBC says, Merry Christmas. He's a Christian. I think that's a ditch. Having said that, I think there's another ditch. It's a smaller ditch, but frankly, I think it's the one that probably you and I are most likely to tumble into, and that is the, oh, no, he's not. Oh, no. No, I heard one thing, and that person is not a believer. I think that can be a ditch, too. The question is, what is the orientation of you and me when it comes to somebody who claims to be a Christian? And I would like to suggest to you it's neither of those ditches. Recently on CBN News, Mike Pence was being interviewed. I'm going to play this for you. We're just going to listen to it, and then we are going to try to use what Mike Pence, who, by the way, I think this is important. I think that we can make a comment about Mike Pence and say, yeah, I would say the guy's a believer. Why? Why would I make that kind of a statement about Mike Pence from afar? Well, I think I know the church that he goes to. We've had a record of his life. We've heard his profession of faith. We've heard enough speeches where, for instance, he defends persecuted Christians, and he just, with great ease, speaks evangelicalese. So we take a look at a guy like Mike Pence and we go, if there's no reason to believe that the fellow is not a believer. He said this about Donald Trump.
Well, I think President Trump has a heart of gratitude for evangelical Christians in this country. I have to tell you, the sweetest words the president and I ever hear, and we hear them a lot, are when people grab us by the hand and say, we're praying for you. I've been with this president in the Oval Office with religious leaders when people have asked to pause for a moment of prayer, and the president readily embraces that. I think he's always very humbled and grateful by the support of believers. But
here it comes.
Let me be clear, President Trump is a believer, and so am I. And we understand the role of faith in the life of this nation, and the American people, I think, can be encouraged to know that in President Donald Trump, they have a leader who embraces and respects and appreciates the role of faith and the importance of religion in the lives of our families and our communities and our nation, and he always will.
Let's get annoyed together, shall we? Based on what a professing believer, Mike Pence, just said, do you and I now jump for joy that Donald Trump is a Christian? Or do you and I go, hold on, wait a second. No, he's not. Let me tell you about what I heard him say, what I saw him tweet, the property that he owns, the industries that he's involved in. No. What is our orientation? Now, let's use Donald Trump as our fulcrum, our mechanism. The guy we're going to throw under the bus in order to do a biblical job in determining, now, what do we say about people who make statements like Mike Pence's? So, on the face of it, Joey, Tony, do you accept Mike Pence's words as being gospel, that Donald Trump is a Christian? Yay or nay?
Nope.
Well, that was...
Nope.
Take your time. Go ahead and just take your time. Tony... Nope. Do you accept Mike Pence's proclamation that Donald Trump is a born-again Christian?
Sure. I'll take Mike at his word.
Well, then, we've already got ourselves a little tension in the air, don't we? Joey, why are you so crabby? Oh, I know. You're a Presbyterian. That must be the reason.
Yeah, and Donald Trump claims to be one of us.
Right. That's right. He does. So why do you just... Your statement was just a definitive no.
No, I'm not going to take it at face value. I'm not saying absolutely not, but I'm saying that I've seen enough public bad fruit from the president. That
all right, so you are a fruit. You're being a fruit inspector.
Yeah, I would need to. I won't say anything definitive until I actually, meet him, get to know him personally, or I mean.
Okay, but basically, you're not accepting it just because somebody said it. All right, yeah. And Joey, Tony, rather, I get the two of you confused all the time because, well, you're mainline Protestants, Presbyterian, Lutheran. All right, Lutheran, you said, sure, you accept it, just like that. No fruit inspection from you, huh? Mm-mm. No, you're just gonna believe it. So you believe that Justin Bieber's a Christian then too, do you? Because he says so. Jimmy Carter says that he's a Christian. Do you accept that? Just like that, all nilly-willy like? I don't even think Jimmy Carter has been confirmed. So,
what day is it?
It depends.
He was Carter a Christian today? Or was he sworn in? Oh, not that confirmed.
No, I trust Mike Pence, who knows him better than I do.
You know what? I think that is headed in the right direction from both of you, actually. And this is where people are going to get annoyed. Now, please, this is not an endorsement of Donald Trump. It is not to be derogatory toward Donald Trump. We're simply using Donald Trump to noodle through this. And even though I just said that, I can look forward to emails. Since when did you become a Trump hater or supporter? That's not the point of any of this. I think, wow, this hurts a little bit. Both the Presbyterian and the Lutheran are onto something. How well do you and I know Donald Trump?
He's just catching up.
And the answer to that is not very well at all. How much do we get to see of his life? And the answer to that is not much at all. Now, that does not mean that we don't see anything. Very high-profile guy, but that doesn't mean that we know everything that's going on in his life. And I think that in order for you and I to make any sort of assessment based on something like another fellow vouching for him or her, we have to say, well, I can't judge one way or another. I can't judge. Why? Proximity. It's really in the context of the local church. It's the local church that can more authoritatively make a profession to state this person is allowed to take communion. This person is welcomed into fellowship because their testimony is credible. We've examined their life. The fruit that we've seen, we believe that person is a believer. Now, with Donald Trump, I don't live with Donald Trump. I don't even live in the same zip code or state, frankly. Now you say, but haven't we seen things from him? You bet we have. And some of those things have not been good. But let me ask you a question. How much of that bad stuff have you seen lately versus during the election cycle? I mean, we got to see a lot of them. The debates and the behavior, let's just be honest, it was just atrocious. I mean, it was just atrocious behavior. Hey, when did you hate Donald Trump? Not the point. But now, as president, aren't we seeing less of that? But you say, what about those tweets? I think that the guy continues to send out tweets that are not just wrong, but sinful, calling the North Korean, whatever that guy is, short and fat. That's not the way a Christian talks. And yet, isn't it true we're seeing less bad stuff? On the other hand, you might say, well, where's the fruit in keeping with repentance? I'm not seeing that. The guy still owns casinos. The guy still is a gazillionaire. He's probably a lover of money. And the way that he tweets things is still bad. Okay. However, my question to you would be, how much of that reflects the totality of his life? Is it more? Is it less? And all of a sudden we start to recognize, maybe, just maybe, making long-distance proclamations is not as easy as it appears on the surface. So how do we dig down to be not in one ditch or the other, but to be biblical regarding somebody's salvation? And next on Wretched Radio. Shout out to our gospel partners. It is your ongoing monthly support that allows us to do Wretched Radio every single day and provide the broadcast, the entire program, for free to anybody on iTunes, Android, or at our website. Thank you for being a gospel partner. If you enjoy or benefit from Wretched Radio, would you please consider joining those partners so that we can continue to preach the gospel? Simply visit wretched.org.